Hello, Internet. Welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our Survivor Season 44, Episode 12 recap. We're going to talk all about the latest episode, break it all down. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Prod on Facebook. Email the show, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post, tell your friends as we get closer to the season finale of Survivor. Obviously, this is the penultimate episode, so we're going to talk all about the episode itself, and then we're going to look ahead to the finale as we do for the penultimate episode. It's going to be a little different because we have been kind of ranking the players as we've gone along here, but we're going to do our rankings here at the end here, talk about who's got the best odds to get in the end, kind of what their path to the end looks like, and then who they can actually beat when they get to the end, if they get to the end. So kind of two different ranking systems there. Obviously, just subscribe so you can get everything. We're going to get the finale episode out. It's a long finale, so what we're going to plan on doing is watching it, and then about a week or so later, recording the show. So obviously won't be the night of, but subscribe so you get it when we do put it out. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and bring in Jessica here in just a moment, and like I said, subscribe so you get everything so you don't miss what we're getting out here. And welcome to the show, Jessica. Jessica, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Pretty good.
Had a couple drinks, though.
Yeah, so good thing, you know it's illegal to be drunk on the air on the radio,
Yeah?
but not on a podcast, so it's okay.
Okay. It's legal.
It's
Yes. Okay, that's good.
Yes,
I should get another drink.
Yeah, it's illegal to do it on a podcast, or it's illegal to do it on the radio, but not on a podcast, so you can
Oh.
be as drunk as you want.
Yeah, I aren't as think as you drunk I am.
Exactly. So, let's go ahead and talk about this episode. We're going to break it all down here. Let's go ahead and talk about the three moments that mattered. We're going to talk about who did not survive. Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our thumbs up, thumbs down for all the players left. Talk about where they end up. We're not going to give them thumbs up, thumbs down this week, and we're going to do the look ahead to the finale. So we're not going to do that. But after 11 weeks, we're going to decide, see who had the most thumbs up, who had the most thumbs down, and put a bow on that. And then we're going to talk about who has the best odds of getting to the end and kind of what their path looks like to the end, what they are going to do. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about who has the best odds of winning, and so kind of who they need to focus on taking out and what their moves should be the rest of the way to win. Makes sense?
See.
So it's not exactly anything we've done before, but it's kind of taking a little bit of what we've done before and a little bit of what we're doing this season and kind of merging it all together.
I mean, the end part is pretty much exactly the same, but...
Yeah, we're just doing we're finishing up the thumbs down before, so it's a little bit different, but yeah. Same idea.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So, 3 moments that matter. Let's start with moment number 1, Jessica.
Doesn't even matter. No, I'm kidding. Yam Yam Jam targets Carolyn.
Yeah, so what's that all about?
So Jam, they talked about how big of a threat Carolyn became, and she was talking about how she made the fake immunity idol, and I want to say Cassie, who is it, found it? Sarah? I don't know. Somebody. Names.
Cassie was last season.
Okay. Sarah found the fake immunity idol under this X in their camp, and Carolyn was explaining the whole story in detail, and Jam was basically wanting her to stop talking and not realizing the target she's putting on her back, I guess, to show what she's done so far in the game. And Jam basically was like, she's a really big threat now at this point.
Yeah, nobody's taking her seriously, and everything like that. And now she's saying, oh yeah, not only was actually paying attention to the game, and do know what's going on. We also made moves that you guys didn't know about, and they're coming to fruition now. It's very much Marianne.
Yeah, well, she's like, I didn't know Jam if you got the fake one or if somebody else did. It's like, all right, you stop talking.
Yeah, and she said the more, and Jam even said the more she's talking, the bigger the target's getting. Mm-hmm. So, which is a bad thing, but also maybe a good thing.
I don't know. Maybe
it's increasing her threat level, but also increasing her win. That's the great balancing act, of course.
Right.
So he was talking about hey, maybe it's time for her to go. He was talking about he was kind of talking with Jamie and Lauren and Heidi about maybe flipping over and taking out Carolyn, and he that was ultimately this decision he was trying to make.
It was between his head and his heart. whatever one was gonna win.
His head was saying to take out Caroline, but his heart said not to.
Right. Yep.
So this episode was another very standard episode. It wasn't anything like it was too mind blowing or crazy. It's been a lot of that stuff this season, like a lot of like pretty straightforward episodes. This one was another one that was pretty straightforward. So the 3 Moments That Matter were kind of pretty straightforward as well.
Mm-hmm.
What about matter number 2?
Lauren's big immunity win.
Yeah, so it came down to they were saying, all right, well, we should probably get rid of Lauren. And they're kind of and so the one Jam Jam was kind of pondering, should we get rid of Carolyn? Carson and Caroline are like, all right, well, should it be Heidi or should it be Lauren? And they decided it should probably, they're kind of deciding between the two.
I mean, also this started with the reward challenge,
Right. Which was what?
where it was Lauren, Jam Jam, and Carson got to go get food and a foot massage, which I could really use that right now from them. So like, I want that. But anyways, so that's kind of where the discussion got more into who they should really target at that point.
Yeah.
And Carson the whole time was talking about how make Lauren comfortable and like yeah, we should get Carolyn out and all this, but that's kind of where the plan started a little bit.
And they weren't sure there was an idol that was hidden at camp after Carolyn played hers, so they said maybe Lauren could have it, so we don't want her to play it, we want her to feel comfortable. We want Jamie to feel comfortable because if she has an idol still, we don't want her playing on somebody, blah, blah, blah.
Plus everybody's searching
at
the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. And also, and the reward challenge, I like it when they have different types of, like, they have, like, an individual challenge that people get to pick. They have group challenges where you have to go with the group, stuff like that. And this one was a group challenge. They divided into teams, and then the whole team have to go on the reward.
Yeah.
So it's good to have different things, so that way, one person's not winning, they're picking the same people, or they can't strategically, decide who goes and who doesn't.
Right, exactly.
That's the only point of reward challenges. Only point of them. Other than that, they're completely useless.
Right.
So Laura needed the immunity win, and she got it. Her second immunity win of the season.
Balancing a ball and a disc, because Jeff just loves balls and everything.
Especially balls and discs.
I mean, the freaking reward challenge was putting someone inside of a ball and rolling them around. So, like, I can't think of many that don't involve that.
Yeah. Well, Jeff loves that, and he loves talking about, he said he loves the balls and discs. He loves talking about how sometimes you have to have a little
soft
bit of
hands,
soft touch, sometimes it's a little harder touch.
Yeah.
Jeff loves his puns.
Yeah,
He loves his dick puns. He loves it.
Yeah, I guess so. All the balls everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Balls touching discs.
Discs.
He loved when you said multiple balls on disc. I remember the one episode of I think it was Go Wrong. What could go wrong?
Exactly.
And Michelle season, yeah, and Nick was the guy who was doing really well in the challenges, and he almost lost the challenge because Jeff made a ball pun. And he started laughing.
Yeah, I would too.
Because it was a challenge where it was similar, where they had like basically stand like a little tiny perch, and they had basically a disc. It was like kind of like a tray where you'd carry like food.
Remember tray? Okay.
Yes. Like a tray that you'd carry like drinks or if you were a waitress.
Right.
And they had 2 balls on it. And Jeff said, balls are going two different directions. That's never good. And Nick started laughing and almost dropped his balls. And almost lost the challenge.
That's funny.
So, but Lauren got the big win. And that kind of changed the target a little bit. Because they wanted to go between Heidi and Lauren.
Yeah.
With the whole Carolyn thing in the background.
Yeah.
And then Lauren wins. So that takes that out of the equation.
Right.
And they didn't know is Heidi had immunity, so that made things even more interesting. Heidi had an idol, which made things a little more
Right. Yeah.
And they thought Jamie might have had one, so that made things even more interesting.
Yeah.
Third moment that mattered is...
The pendulum swings back.
Yes. So, I said a few weeks ago, the plan was for Carson and Jam Jam to pendulum. This is the post-merge.
Yeah.
And a lot of players try to do it, but either they only have one person and they don't have enough people to do it, and they get targeted because they're penduluming, or they have 2 people and they eventually split up, and now they're targeting each other and whatever.
Yeah.
It's rare that you have 2 people who do it and they both stick together and pendulum the whole way.
Right.
So the pendulum was swinging. It swung to the orange, took out a couple people from orange. Brandon and Kane.
Right.
After Matt, I guess, but Brandon and Kane. And then it swung over and took out Franny and
Danny.
And Danny. And now it's swinging back the other way to go after the remaining oranges. Right, so it swung back, and it's like, all right, if you take side between now, it can't be Lauren. We have side between Heidi and Jamie.
Right.
Heidi plays her idol. So it's basically, it's like, all right, I'm going to switch between Carolyn. And, not for nothing, I wasn't put this in there too, the freaking edit this week.
Yeah.
The freaking edit this week.
The Carolyn edit.
They were laying it on so thick. Like, if Carolyn would have gone home, people would have been pissed because it was so obvious.
Right.
But it was actually so obvious that she wasn't going home because they were like saying every time anybody said anything trouble, she looked with her eyes like, with her face all being weird and like, huh? You know, it was very like, you know, every time anybody said anything, she got like concerned. And they kept saying things that could have been like targeted at Carolyn. And you could tell they were cutting it to make it look that way.
Yeah.
You could tell the whole way. And he said if they would have done it, people would have been pissed. But I would almost rather that been the case because like you're trying to make it so obvious that it's her that definitely can't be her. That if it actually was her, but really kind of interesting. But you knew it wasn't gonna be.
Yeah.
You knew it wasn't gonna be.
I knew that based off of the ending of the preview of this episode.
Yeah. Right. It's the Hubicki's Law, of course. And the whole thing is, the only real drama I had was I think I vote for Jamie, I think I vote for Heidi, and vote for Heidi, she's gonna play her idol. Because they're set up as to be Carolyn, it's gonna be Carolyn. I'm like, shut up. It's not gonna be Carolyn. It's gonna be Jamie or it's gonna be Heidi, and if it's Heidi, well, she'll play her idol.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they didn't know about her idol or anything either, so they weren't taking that into account at all.
And they said in their defense, they say they always have to take that into consideration every time, you know, idols they come to play every time, you know, whatever. But yes, of course, they didn't really, you know, you always had the idol in the back of your mind, but you never really necessarily know who has it, so you can't, you know, completely plan for it.
Well, yeah, you can't really put too much focus on something like that part.
What they could have done, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't do, is go 2, 2, and 2. Right, Lauren and Jamie vote one way, Heidi and Carolyn vote another way, and Jam and Carson vote another way. You know, they split between all of them, but it becomes difficult. If I would say if Heidi won the immunity, not Lauren, they definitely do that.
What's the point though? Then they have to re-vote.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because but they re-vote on people. Then it's only 3 people decide who gets voted out, right? So
yeah.
So in that case, Lauren and Jamie vote for, let's say, Heidi, or they vote for Carolyn, and then Carolyn and Heidi vote for Jamie, and then Jam and Carson vote for Heidi, or whatever. It's some way, and then if Heidi plays her idol, it's 2, 2, and then they vote for the person who they want. If nobody plays on idol, it's 2, 2, and 2, and then the people who have votes can't vote. So it's the only 3 left to get to decide who was out.
I understand that, but yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I guess because I don't think that's the best strategy if you're doing 2, 2, and 2.
What?
Because it just makes it more complicated for the revote.
If
you have to have everybody on the same page for the revote.
You only need 2 people on the same page because 3 people can't vote.
Yeah.
So one's gonna vote however they vote. And if 2 are locked in, so they decide it.
If they were, tight enough to vote the same way, then
it would be Carson and Jam.
I know that, but Jam was so all over the place the whole episode.
Well, that's true, and maybe Carson knew that, maybe he didn't. So, it's one of those things.
Carson knew that. I mean,
but maybe he didn't know how close he was with Van Carolyn.
I guess, yeah.
And ultimately he didn't. So, either way, I think it was an interesting thing. I thought they were going to do that. They decided not to. They decided to just go, basically 4 on one person, 2 on another person, and that was it. They basically let Jamie and Lauren vote the way they wanted, and then the other ones vote the way they wanted it, and it was a done deal.
Right.
So, and of course, nobody voted for Carolyn, did they?
Mm-hmm.
Jamie. Two. That's right. Nobody voted for Heidi.
Nobody voted for Heidi. Wasn't it Jamie and Lauren that voted for Carolyn?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The rest voted for Jamie.
Yeah. So the pendulum swings back down to orange.
Yeah, because Carolyn got 2 votes and was starting to freak out.
Yeah.
And she still was mad even at the end of it. It's like, they weren't the ones who voted for
All right,
you.
so the person who's getting voted out is going to vote for you. That's
Right.
when they say, the person who got no votes against them the whole time, that probably isn't necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
If you get no votes against you the whole game, it probably means that you weren't playing that well.
Right.
Because people should vote for you in the minority.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So.
Yeah.
But in any event, pendulum swung from orange to green. No, back to orange. And that was how it went. And because it swung back to orange, one of them had immunity, which means the other one went out. So who did not survive this week?
Jamie.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamie. Not
Dramatic
survived this
effect. You
week.
know.
The pause for dramatic effect. So what did Jamie do wrong? Or short list, what did Jamie do right?
Made an alliance with some people at some point, I think. What did she do wrong? Really thought she had an idol. Really thought she had that. All you heard about it. I said to you when we watched it, I really want them, instead of saying like has an idol, when they put has no idol, say did not lost not an idol or something like that.
And
like
Chiron's bottom,
didn't actually lose a real idol.
Right. Lost the fake idol,
Yeah.
I mean, so when she watched
All
it back,
she talked about, all she did, and how she lost it. All she talked
and she's gonna, she's gonna watch it back later and be like, oh.
Yeah, especially with her exit interview. I was so happy. At least I found an idol while I was out here. That was one of my goals. Yeah. I mean, you found what you thought was an idol, yeah. It's fine.
For sure.
You were actually taken to it, basically. So.
What did she do wrong? So she formed an alliance with. Here's what I think she did wrong. Here's what I think she did wrong.
She was also one that got moved to a different tribe, too.
Yeah, she did. She got swapped. Here's what I think she did wrong. I think she did one thing really, really wrong. She didn't do much. She thought she had an idol, she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
She made some alliances, but wasn't really driving any of the votes or anything like that. What she should have done, though, is instead of voting out Danny last week, because she voted out Danny because she thought she was with Carson and Jam Jam and all them, and she thought, but then even if you think you're with them, what's the next? Like, you gotta think far enough ahead.
She didn't vote out Danny. They voted for Heidi.
They voted for Heidi, but I'm saying either way, they voted for something. What I meant to say is they voted for a green. They should have voted for a Tika.
Yeah, they should have powered more into getting her to the other side.
Well, yeah, so everybody voted for Danny.
But instead they voted for the same tribe, yeah.
Right, that's what I meant, yeah. So they're basically part of a split vote between Heidi and Danny.
Yeah.
What they should have done is form up with those guys and take out Tika.
Yeah. Which I always talked about it every single week, but no one ever did anything.
Because they thought they were tied with Carson, they thought they were tied with Jam Jam. And maybe even Carolyn. And that's great. But even if you are, you're taking yourself from a potential alliance of 4 to an alliance taking yourself from the middle of an alliance of 4 to the bottom of an alliance of 5.
Yeah.
So you're going from you're going from the final 6. Now you get rid of Danny. Heck, you get rid of Heidi too. Mm-hmm. Great. You're still 2 in a alliance of 5.
Right.
And the other 3 are tighter.
Yeah.
So what they should have done is say, okay, let's work with Heidi and Danny, and then Jamie and Lauren work together, take out Tika, and then if they get rid of all of Tika down on the final 4, maybe Danny's doing all the challenges. Okay, great, but you still have a better shot. And he only won one. I think he only won one immunity, right? So or one individual reward, whatever the hell it was. He didn't even do grand challenges.
Who is it? Danny? Yeah, no, he barely won challenges.
Lauren's better.
I think he won one individual immunity. And then I don't know if he won a reward one or was it a reward?
Either way, he won. I think he won one challenge.
Yeah,
one individual challenge.
Yeah.
So he's not even that great. So I think Lauren could beat him.
Yeah, well, because the muscular guys aren't technically good at them because their
muscles,
stamina and stuff, and
the challenges early in the merge are all endurance and pain tolerance and shit. The women do better at those.
Well, for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So, and that's what I mean. So like. They could have, so she didn't do it really much all season, but her fatal mistake this week was actually last week.
Yeah.
When they didn't take out Tika.
Right.
They said, okay, I think I'm close with Caroline. I think I'm close with Jam Jam. Maybe. But either way, who's Caroline closest with? Carolyn's closest with them.
Yeah.
So even if you get down to the final four with them, you say you're planning to get down to the final four, they're gonna take the advantage and keep Carolyn and vote you out.
I mean, I don't know. Carolyn, I think, is the one that kind of got it switched from Carson that 1 week because she pretty much told them, or told him, I know it's you that they're going after. And then I think they heard about it and all that stuff, too.
Sure. And they switch it, but that's when they should have. That's when Jamie and Lauren should have.
Well, that's when they should have saw how close
Right.
they were to each other.
Absolutely. And so even if Carson telling everybody you're my number one, well, what do you think he's gonna have in the final five? Right? Do you think the final five? Do you think he's gonna say, oh, I'll go to the final four with you, and then no, he's gonna take he's gonna have other options. Mm-hmm. And one of the best moves that Tony made in his season, he won the second season. He took out his other allies' best allies. Right? So he became they had nobody else to go to but him.
Right.
And that's smart.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do that. They should have taken out Carolyn last week, or Jam, or even Carson. But they decided to vote out the green and kept their war going with the green instead of forming up with the green and taking out purple.
Right.
And that was a big mistake. And that was ultimately Lauren's big mistake, and it's also Jamie's big mistake. And Jamie, all the things she didn't do right, the reason that she got voted out, because she really wasn't a threat. People were saying she's a threat because she might have an idol, blah, blah, blah. She's playing a good game, and she's strategic and social. All those might be true, but she didn't play a good game. She didn't play a good game. And it ended up becoming a numbers thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And she wasn't with, she wasn't with the numbers. She didn't make the one good move she could have made, which would have been last week. And if they did that, it would have been 2-2, and then who the hell knows where it goes. But he said you let the other side have 3 when you only have 2. That's really dumb.
Right.
Not a good move.
Yeah.
And that's why Jamie lost. So with Jamie out of the game, now we're down to 5. What did Jamie end up with as far as her thumbs up, thumbs down?
Let's see. -11.
-11, yeah.
Yeah, -11.
So obviously, it's I always say placement rate means nothing, right? If you're out third or you're out third from the end, it really doesn't matter. The game you played has nothing to do with your placement rate. Jamie went really far in the game because she wasn't a threat, and even though some people were trying to make her seem like a threat, she really wasn't. And if they could have get rid of Lauren, they would have, because Lauren's a bigger threat. For sure, because Lauren's actually won immunities and whatnot.
Yeah. Jamie doesn't know what's going on in the most wonderful way.
Yeah, but not really that wonderful. Just a weirdo yogi, so whatever. But that being said, after 11 weeks, we are now down to our final 5. Actually, it's week 12, but we are not going to do our plus minuses this week or who had the best week or who had the worst week. Because we're going to do the ranking after that next. But let's go ahead and talk about, of the 5 players left, what are each position and how many of the pluses, minuses, what they end up with total? What was their par? Over, under, even?
Okay.
So, start with Carolyn.
Carolyn was a +2 ending.
Ended with a +2.
Yes.
Great.
Carson was a +10.
+10.
C.
Carson 10.
Carson 10, yeah.
All right. Lauren.
Lauren was -4.
-4. All
C.
right.
And Jam was even Steven.
Even Steven. Wow.
C.
All right. And Heidi.
Even +2.
+2. All right. So can we do one more time? Run down one more time.
Okay.
Carolyn.
+2.
Okay.
Carson +10.
Okay.
Lauren -4.
Yep.
And Jam even Steven. Heidi +2.
There you go. So that's where they all stand. So if you look at it, I mean, Carson obviously has of all the players left, Carson quote unquote played the best game based on our week to week ranking. And then it was Heidi actually with the second best, or was it Carolyn?
Carolyn, they're tied.
Carolyn and her are tied, and then Jam, and then technically Lauren had the worst.
Yep.
Interesting. I wanted to do the experiment, see kind of if the players we have a good feeling on, end up with
Being the top dog that we think.
right. Yeah. So it's kind of skewed. It's made about 50-50. About 50% of the people I think are right, and 50% of them are wrong. I think Jam Jam's pretty even. I think Heidi's pretty even. I think Carolyn should have been a little higher. I think Lauren should have been a little higher. I think Carson maybe could be a little lower, but is still on the right side. He still has a positive game. He still had did more good than bad this season.
Yeah.
Lauren did probably more good than bad also, but she's a negative. And then the other one's yeah.
She really hasn't showed up until
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
so I think she's fine with where she is.
Probably. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think the ranking did decent though.
Yeah, not too bad.
I think for the most part, pretty much everybody ended up with Eric. Heidi's pretty much even. Carson's top. Jam Jam's pretty even. And Lauren's, maybe a little lower than I'd like to have her. But probably could be a little bit, but probably would have her on even. And then Carolyn has played a great game and also a horrendous game. So, and she even talked about that, talking about how, emotional players, she can be very emotional and feel a certain way about things and feel bad about throwing somebody out, but then has to do it. And can separate her emotion from it and, even use that emotion as a tool.
Yeah, she said with the one vote when she wasn't in on it, she just needed a minute. She just needed time to calm down and then she was fine. She gets emotional, but she can rein it in.
So interesting how the power ranking, how the plus minuses worked this season.
Yeah.
Cool. So with that being said, what is next on the docket then?
Best chances of getting to the end.
Yeah. So basically, let's talk about each person's player path to the end, and then after that, we're gonna talk about each player's win chance. So, who has the worst chance of getting to the end, according to these final five? Carolyn. Why?
Because after last week, and I guess throughout the time, she's just developed a big target, and with how hard Jam Jam was going against getting her out last week, it's very highly possible that it could happen this week.
Yeah, I can see her go out fifth. It's really gonna depend. The one thing we said before, nobody's like really great challenges, so really anybody can win them, and nobody's a super huge like obvious threat. Like last season we had, Jesse and Carla. They're both, Carla's better at challenges than Jesse, but both are pretty big threats. Carla goes out, and then it's like, well, obviously Jesse's gonna be next. Right, and so that's how I got set up.
I mean, I feel like these group of people, though, are much worse at challenges
Yeah.
because they don't last long. And if it's anything to do with balance, they're all pretty much in trouble.
And that's what, because Jeff was like, well, you can see the toll really taking on these players. Three of them knocked on the first 5 minutes of the challenge. It's like, yeah, or they just suck at challenges.
Just not good at challenges, yeah.
It could be the fatigue,
It's
could be
also
everything.
freaking having to balance a ball on everything, like everything. Even, again, too, with the reward challenge, they were in a ball, and they had to get the ball through the maze.
Yeah.
Everything was about that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do something else.
Yeah, I think they will. I think the final 5 and final 4 challenges will be something. They usually
More
have
balancing stuff again.
I don't know. I think
Everything.
they'll do an obstacle course with final 5, I think, at least.
Probably.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. With that being said, that's where. So Carolyn, I think I could see Carolyn. I could see her getting through this next vote, and then she's got to make fire maybe. And they said she's pretty good at making fire, so maybe she will be good at that. Maybe she'll pull that off.
They said she practiced till she bled, so that's fun.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's just really gonna depend. The question is gonna be: does Carson have enough, and Carson and Jimmy have enough social capital left with Lauren and Heidi to keep them from working together?
Carson and Jam Jam.
Yes.
I think you said Jamie.
With Lauren and Heidi. Does Jam Jam and Carson have enough social capital left to keep Lauren and Heidi from working together? If they do, you vote out Carolyn, take out that threat, and if those two don't work together, if Lauren and them don't work together, you pick out one of them next, and you're in the final 3.
I mean, Heidi doesn't trust anybody, and I know she doesn't trust Lauren, so.
So maybe that's what you do then.
Yeah.
But if you think that Lauren will work with Heidi, right? You think Lauren and Heidi will work together. Now you're kind of like, I don't really want to make that move because they work together now. I just got rid of my 3-2 advantage to make it 2-2 for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if Heidi, or then one that wins the immunity, and then you're in fire, and it's, they put you now you vote out Carolyn. You vote out Carolyn, and then Lauren wins another immunity, for example, right? And then Lauren puts Carson against Jam Jam and Fire, and now you just lost, right? So it's a risk. It's a risk to take out Carolyn next. It certainly is. You think Carolyn's good at Fire? That's great. So maybe you have her make Fire, but then it's a tough decision. It's a tough choice.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I stand right now with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big risk to take out Carolyn because you could screw yourself by having Lauren win, or whoever, and then you're in Fire. Now you took your fate out of your own hands.
Yeah.
Whereas you could put Carolyn in Fire or whatever, and then she loses and whatever. So it's definitely it's always a tightrope. I mean, if Jesse would have done it, would have kept Carla one more vote, they put her in Fire maybe, and she goes out in Fire and he wins. Yeah. So it's very tough.
Yeah.
It's a very tough balancing act we get on this point. So, but I think Carolyn should be target number one, and that's why I think she has worse odds to get in the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Who is next? Lauren. Why?
At least with immunity challenges, she was pretty good at. She won 2 of them, so a high chance she could win it. Or if not, this at 5 at 4, and then they don't want to see that.
Right. So I think that's the reason she obviously she's the best, probably of anybody left. She probably has the best chance of winning one, like you said.
Yeah.
But I think also if she doesn't win, it's going to depend on do they want to take out Carolyn or want to take out Lauren. I don't think they're going to take out Heidi next because Heidi's just kind of there. She's not as big of a threat. She's not as big of a threat to win the challenge. She's probably not as big of a threat to make the Fire. So probably the biggest threat to win. So I think if Heidi, I would say if Heidi held onto her idol, she's in the final 3.
Yeah.
Because she could play it next this week, whatever.
Yeah.
Then she's in Fire, whatever.
Right.
But at worst, I still think she had decent odds of getting into the final 3 because I think if you're either going for Carolyn this week or I think you're going for Lauren this week. I think you have to the next vote.
Probably. I mean, Heidi, besides winning, I guess, finding the idols and stuff like that, they could just say that Danny was really the one that led her.
I agree.
So.
And that's why I don't think they should target her.
Yeah.
I think she gets the end. She might get a couple votes. She has a couple of her old Green Tribe friends over there, but I don't think she is a big enough threat. So I think you decide next week. Okay, if all things considered, you can have your shot at Lauren and at Carolyn. You have your choice. You decide, but I don't think you're putting Heidi in front of either one of them.
Probably not anymore. No, I mean, Lauren and Jamie were the ones that voted for Heidi.
Yeah,
most times.
And so she's not going to work with them anyways. And maybe she should. Maybe it's her only option. But I think you should. I think Heidi could have controlled her own fate if she had held on to write one more vote. She didn't use her idol this vote. She could have controlled her fate and had to win equity. The fact that she blew that idol, wasted it, didn't even get any votes.
Yeah.
I think she just blew her win equity, and now her threat level went way down.
Yeah.
If she would have held on to it, taken out a big threat with it, now she got a great shot to win. But she didn't do that. She wasted her idol, and I think that's why her win equity went down and her chance to go in the end actually may have gone up because she has less of a chance to win.
Yeah.
Who's got the third best odds to get in the end?
Heidi. I mean, her playing her idol, I guess, gave her something that she showed that she found something and everything else. But besides that, she doesn't really have a ton, I guess.
Would you switch Carson here? Put Carson here instead?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Let's
After talking through it, probably Carson next.
I think Carson got the next worst odds to get in the end. Again, I just think
because everybody started targeting him at one point.
Yeah, right.
All collectively, besides Carolyn. I mean, Jam might have even said how much between Carson and Carolyn, they're both a threat too. But
yeah, I mean, I think they got the vote off of him, but it was on him at one point, and I think it's because people realize he's a threat. And I think if you go to I think you go to Fire, who knows how good he is, and maybe let's say Lauren wins immunity, or Carolyn wins immunity. You want to take that shot at, or, because and Heidi or Carolyn even said she was like, I don't want to get rid of Carson yet.
Yeah.
And so they maybe
even then Carson in the reverse did the same thing with Carolyn.
Right.
Not yet.
Right. And so I think if, let's say, Lauren or Carolyn win the next immunity,
Uh-huh.
well then the mood, probably the right move then at that point is to take out Carson. Especially if I'm Carolyn.
I mean, the smartest thing they both did, not knowingly, I guess, is to keep their bigger target there
One more
in
vote.
front of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
so-
though I think Carolyn's definitely the bigger target, but like I said, everybody kind of picked up on Carson too. So
Yeah. So I think he's got a target on his back. He could definitely go next.
yeah.
It's going to depend on, again, who wins the immunity and like that and which way the vote swings. I don't think he'll necessarily be next. I think it'll be Lauren or Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I'm Carolyn, I'm taking out Carson next. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then you can even turn around and say, hey, let's take out Jam Jam next, or take out Lauren next.
Yeah.
You gotta if you're Carolyn, from her perspective, you gotta take out the next threat and then keep one more threat that you can credibly say is the threat next.
Right. Pretty much.
So you take out Lauren or Carson, and then you gotta take out the other one. And we'll talk about that in a minute here. But Selena definitely agrees.
I don't know. I think she's protesting.
Well, she protests too much.
Protest.
We got it.
Listen.
So that puts Carson third best odds to get in the end, right?
Yes.
So then we switch to Heidi. I think
Heidi second.
Heidi's
yeah.
second best odds to get in the end.
Yeah.
And again, I think if she would have kept her idol, she would have gotten up to the end with win equity. I think she's now lost her idol, and so I think her odds in the end went up, and then win equity went down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and maybe her chance to get the end maybe went down too. Because I think I would have had her number one to get the end, because she would have had idol and everything else.
Right.
But now she's vulnerable and isn't as much of a threat. So I think it could be a problem for her.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, she's had votes on her multiple times, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, she's had multiple votes on her, and I just think, she's not a huge threat at this point.
Mm-mm.
I think Danny can claim credit for a lot of the votes. Maybe they'll throw a couple votes on her because they like her, but I don't think she's a huge threat.
No, I don't think so.
And
either.
so I think her odds. I think they're gonna let her get to the end because she's doesn't have a good shot to beat anybody. And then I think the best odds to get in the end is who?
Jam.
Why?
I mean, besides him claiming that he got out every single person that tried to vote him out, there's not really a huge amount that he did. He did win one individual immunity, but besides that, I don't think his behind the scenes was as much as other people like Carson did.
And I just don't think anybody's coming for him. I just don't think. I mean, I think I think he's gonna be the extra vote for Carson to get rid of Heidi, or for Carson to get rid of Carolyn, or for Carolyn to get rid of Carson.
Yeah.
I think that when they're gonna be aiming their guns at each other, I think he'll be the one who steers the gun the right way, the way he wants it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too many other bigger threats in the game for him to be targeted before the finals.
Yeah.
So I think I would be really surprised if he was making that. Maybe he'll go next for all I know, right? But I think there's too many other targets for them to go after Jam. I think he can win because worse people have won and people who've done less in the game have won. But I don't think he deserves it. But he's funny and entertaining, so that's all you need. But
I think it's if they like him more than who he's sitting
I
next
think
to.
that's it. And we'll talk about that in a minute too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the path I think for him. And I just don't see anybody wasting a vote. I mean, maybe he loses in fire. That's possible too.
Well, they might put him in there because they know he can't do it if they want to.
Maybe.
But
Yeah, maybe they'll put him in there against Carolyn or put him against somebody they want to try to take out, and maybe he loses, whatever. That's fine. But I just don't think... I think if there's only one vote left, technically, you don't use that on Jam, and then fire can go anyway. Whichever way you want it to go. You want to take out... If Carolyn and Carson are both there at the Final Four, and neither one of them win immunity, they're both in the fire. Right, so it's just you gotta think of where the placement's gonna be. I don't think anybody's voting out Jam at 5.
yeah.
And then if he doesn't win immunity, he's probably not going into fire unless there's only one big threat left and they would think he can take him out.
Right.
So I don't think he's gonna be a target, and so I think he's got to really try to get in the end.
I mean, does anybody on the jury think that it would be stupid to bring Jam? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna depend on how they can. Gabler. The reason Gabler won last season is because he told the story the best. He presented the best argument. If you can present the argument that it's your story, then they'll give it to you.
Right.
If they say when people like Aubrey say I did all this, I did this, and they did this, and they don't believe you, even if you are, It's just whoever tells the best story can convince the jury.
Yeah.
That's really a lot of what it comes down to. Unfortunately,
Who was involved with what you're trying to claim, though?
right? Well, true.
Because so many try to get away with taking something that wasn't theirs, like last year.
Last season, yeah.
Last season, yeah.
With Cassidy. And the thing is, too. Unfortunately, survivors come down to the point now where just get to the end to make your case, which I hate. I want people to get to the end who've played a good game, and I get down in the last several seasons. It's get to the end, be terrible, but have other terrible people with you and win. Right? Yeah. Do nothing, just get to the end, but you have other people who did nothing and they are less likable.
Right.
That's not Survivor. Yeah. But that's how it's become. So.
What is Survivor?
Yeah, well, we can talk about that at some point in the future. And obviously, I've talked about in the past, what some of the winners with the games that remind me of. I mean, I think Carolyn's kind of become the Marianne a little bit, where it's like
she did more than Marianne, though.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's she's kind of a combination of Nora and Marianne. Like, Nora was very weird out there, and Marianne was kind of like didn't really do much, and then got a couple votes that she pulled out and was like. Put it this way, Marianne's probably the best winner of the last 3 seasons. Is that saying much? No. But, it's... I kind of feel like that's how it is. Like, she didn't really do much and then made a couple votes late. And people were like, oh, wait, she actually is playing the game. And it was too late to stop her. That's kind of what I feel like.
Play the game.
Exactly. All right, Triple H. Perfect. And then, Carson is kind of playing like a game. It's...
Still laughing about Triple H.
Perfect. Well, that's sledgehammer to my knee. That's not Triple H, but that's okay.
The people's elbow.
Yes, it's Dwayne. All right. Anyways.
Can you smell?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's nothing. We had to take out today. Anyways, so as I said, Carson's played a similar game to other super fans who've made strategic moves. He's played a good strategic game for the most part. Jam again. A friendly, likable guy, like that's been his style, his story. Lauren could get to the end by winning a couple challenges, kind of like Danny Boatwright. Heidi, same idea, just being there, being with people who aren't as well liked, maybe like Erica. So there's we'll see how it goes. There's obviously different paths that everybody's gonna take, but all that being said. Let's talk about who's got the worst chance of winning. And then we'll go up from there to who has the best chance of winning. And a lot of times it's inverted, but not completely as the odds get in the end. Who has the worst chance of winning, would you say?
Me.
Well,
Besides me.
You're not in the game, so
know.
You gotta be in it to win it.
No. You know what? FAFO.
Jessica, I think Jessica learned that this past weekend.
I did not.
And she's been using every day now.
Just a shortened version, but yes.
Okay.
Anyways, but best odds of winning.
Worst odds of winning.
Well, I know it's okay.
Yeah. So from the bottom up, yeah.
From the bottom up. All right.
Number
5 is Lauren.
Why Lauren?
I mean, she hasn't really done a ton. Like I said, the second half is when we really saw her do anything. And then she's been winning individual immunity, which is great, but you got to do a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think she really beats anybody. She gets to the end. I think again, her best case, take out Carson, take out Carolyn, and then plead your case. And I think she has to do it in that order, too, because I think she's going to need Carolyn to take out Carson.
Yeah.
But I think that's what maybe make fire against her and beat her in fire, and now you've made that you've won immunity and took out Carson. You made fire against Carolyn, you took out and you knocked her out of the game, and then you can argue that you did better than the other two, and that's your story.
Yeah.
I think that's really her only chance.
Probably.
But we've said that before. Then losers won. So
I mean, they put so much more now. I know because I know you hate fire, but they definitely put so much stake into that with the fire challenge when it comes to them voting for him.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's not great.
It's awful. It ruins so many seasons, and
it's yes and no, because I mean Gabler, that worked out for him to do that, and taking out Jesse, who was a bigger threat and asked to be there. So I don't know, but what was the other one? Was it Chris Underwood that came back from Edge and
he did that too? That was
won it Did he put himself in
He
there
won the
to do
immunity
it?
and put himself in it.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
like then you get other seasons where the only player left. They're like I still can't get over the fact that Lauren Beck lost
Yeah, it sucked.
because she did play the game perfect. She played it basically a perfect game. The only thing she didn't do was make fireball. Like the only thing she did was make fireball, and you can play 95% of the game great. You're not gonna make fire and you lose. Like come on.
Because the decline came where no one cared how good of the people were at the end.
Right. Because nobody was good left at the end.
I mean,
all the good players
I
got
watched some Ben season and I liked Ben, but besides that, everything else hasn't been great.
Right.
So.
And then so the best players get knocked out, and then there's nobody left to be a threat.
Not interesting.
Right. So I think that's Lauren's best chance. I think it's her only shot. But again, everybody in the final five has a shot because we've seen players who should not have even come close to winning wins. So because winning Survivor used to be a thing. Like you could be like, I'm a Survivor winner. Now they're like, yeah, who cares? Because I used to put stock. I used to think that being a Survivor winner was like, everybody who won deserved it. I'm kind of jaded now, so I don't really believe that anymore.
No.
But I digress. I felt either way. So anybody can win. But I think Lauren's got the worst odds of winning.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next is Heidi, obviously.
Heidi. Yeah, they could even put them, swap them too. But
Yeah. Either way, though, it's kind of
yeah.
4A and 4B.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
guess.
And again, if Heidi would have done Highlander Idol one more vote, not got scared, played her Idol next week, blindside, maybe all the votes are on her. She goes 4-1 on somebody, knocks on that one, knocks on the big threat, and then goes, and then whatever. I think that was her best path. And I was feeling really high on Heidi 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But she wasted her Idol this week, and now she's basically going to be at the mercy of somebody else taking her at the end.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have any allies left. Doesn't have any idols left. I'd rather have an ally than an idol. She only had the idol. She should use it to knock out a big threat instead of saving herself.
I mean, she really has nothing else to talk about what she did
besides
building bonds, but every single person can say that.
Right.
So.
And she built some good bonds, and that's good. She has her green team allies.
I mean,
are good.
everybody pretty much had a good bond with somebody.
Yeah.
Like no one was really an outcast.
Absolutely. I said what Heidi could have done is the Natalie Anderson, right? She doesn't need the idol because not targeting her.
Yeah.
Because she's not a huge threat, quote unquote. What you do is you use the idol, play on the person that they're all voting for, save that person, shake things up, and now you just basically the person that everybody wants out, you save them with your idol, right? And now they are still a bigger threat ahead of you. So then they go next, and you're there, and you've played a good game. So
I mean, it's the last few seasons, at least 4 or even 6 seasons, are boring because the idols aren't used correctly, so nothing's actually affected by it.
Right.
I mean, I did see some seasons where someone played an idol and all of a sudden the vote goes to somebody there's only been 2 votes on that gets eliminated. Like, that's exciting.
And that happened early in the season. That was basically the first vote of the season or second vote of the season. It was we were like really like, wow, this is gonna be a great season. And then
I just it's not exciting. Tribal isn't always super exciting because it seems kind of predictable most of the time what's going to happen.
A very predictable season for sure. If you had told me that these 5 people were in there on the end, I wouldn't have really thought too much of it.
I mean, I don't know if I would have thought Carolyn was going to be there, but
But
she
had
been doing so well.
But once she had the idol and nobody knew about it and nobody cared to target her because she wasn't doing anything, and then she started doing stuff, you were like, she's not going anywhere because she has idol and they're not going to target her for her to use it.
Yeah.
And they still didn't target her. If she would have not played on Carson,
she didn't need to.
She needs to, right?
Yeah.
So she should still have it.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, so that's Heidi again. Same spot. Her best. She has to do basically what Lauren needs to do. She would have been way easier for her to do that if she had an idol. She wouldn't have needed to win immunity. She could have just played her idol.
Yeah.
But now she needs to probably win immunity. Needs to do fire. It's gonna be a lot tougher path for her now.
Yeah.
Third best odds of winning.
Jam.
Yeah. Why Jam?
I mean, I feel like his only stake that he's going to claim is that he got people out that were voting for him. And then that's kind of it.
Yeah, so exactly. So and that's kind of how I feel too. I feel like, if they wanted to take out, they were targeting Jam, and I think he got them out, but also his allies got them out more than maybe he did.
Yeah.
So I feel like if Jam he can claim that, but I feel like I feel like he would have been gone wasn't for his allies.
I mean, other people on the jury, I think, are going to say that it wasn't just him. Because I feel like he joined in when he heard mostly that people were going to vote for who he wanted for anyways or something. Like, he was happy that they're voting for him then because they threw a vote on him or whatever.
Yeah, and again, they threw his name out there, and he, they voted for him. He made the emotional decision to go after them, and he had his allies help him. Yeah.
Revenge tour.
Yeah, and it wasn't so I don't know, but again, he's likable. He could say I played a good game. He has to though. I really think. I mean, he's likable. He can get to the end, but I think the jury is going to want to give the money to somebody who played the game better. Mm-hmm. I think he can say if he gets to the end, I think he's going to have to take out Carolyn and Carson. Mm-hmm. I think if either one of them gets to the end with anybody else, they win. Yeah. Except for each other.
Right.
So I don't know, but he could do it. He could go with take out Carson, take out Carolyn, go to the end with Heidi and them, and say, hey, I took out everybody, and I was in blah blah blah, and see what happens. But I think it'd be foolish for him to go to the end with Carson or Carolyn.
Yeah.
But I think if he takes them both of them, I think he's got as good of a shot as anybody else.
Carolyn first. Don't let her get to fire, and then who knows if Carson can do that. So
I think you're right. I think you take out Carolyn next. Then take out Carson and basically flip on your whole alliance. And then
yeah.
And then he can probably argue against Lauren and against Heidi that he deserves it, and maybe he'll get the votes. Who knows?
Maybe. It just depends on with everybody over there.
It's gonna depend on the final travel speech for sure.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say. It used to be back in the day, like we could look at a winner and be like, okay, they're gonna say this, and if they get the end, they're gonna win, and then they it'd be odds of whether they get the end or not. Mm-hmm. And Trevor wants to make it that the finale is more exciting because you don't know who's going to win because nobody's good. So it's just like...
Then you're more wondering who's going to win instead of picking someone that you think should win.
Right. Like when Rick Devens, when we went to watch Rick Devens, he's definitely going to win. Yeah. He's the only one who's got an edit.
So annoying.
Like I didn't really like him either, but like...
I started to.
I'm like, he's the only one with an edit. He's the only one who can win. And then he loses to a guy who was on the show for 3 days. It's like, what? So it's super exciting. It was one of the most exciting finales I've ever seen. But the winner was awful. So I was like, I'd rather have a little bit less exciting finale. Like the 20 season, it's 40. The finale wasn't amazing. It was good. But you had a winner who you could be like, okay, well, obviously they deserve it. Tony obviously deserved it. So it's like, okay.
Maybe not so obvious to everybody.
Tony deserved it. Shut up.
I don't know if I agree with that. But
Sarah,
we don't have time to discuss that.
We don't have time to relitigate that.
Good.
So, they made the finales more exciting by having more people who could win because there's no obvious person who's going to win because nobody's good.
It is fun to hear you explain to yourself and try and convince yourself why they were the winner.
I need to wrap my head around it because it's awful. But I digress. So he's got the third best odds of winning. Second best odds of winning. Jessica, unless you have anything else to say.
No, I'm good. Carson.
Second best odds of winning. Again, I think him and Caroline I could make cases for either one, but I think they have to take each other out. I don't think Carson. My only fear of Carson is he says he thinks he can beat Caroline at the end. Maybe he can.
I don't think so, but maybe.
Right.
It just depends. I mean, Carson swung and talked and worked with a lot of other people, but I think the more everybody watched Carolyn could see that she was doing a lot that they weren't aware of.
Yeah, exactly. So it's two very different stories. Yeah. Even though they're aligned basically the whole way, they both had very different stories.
Yeah.
And it's going to be kind of which one is valued more by the jury is what's going to come down to. If I'm Carson, I'm not taking that chance. That my story's going to be less valued.
Yeah.
I'm taking her out next.
Yeah.
And or I'm taking out Lauren, then her, whatever, but she's got to go before the final three.
Right.
I don't want to next to the final three if I'm Carson. I think I can beat everybody else, but I'm not saying next to Carolyn. I'll do it.
I know. You ever think that you were going to be saying any of this?
No.
At all? No. Does it make you happy or not happy?
Sort of. We'll see how it plays out. That's all I can
make you angry?
No, we'll see how it plays out. Carolyn's played a bit better again than I expected. So
she grew on me. Yes.
For sure. I won't put it this way. I won't be as pissed as I was about all the winners if she wins. Okay. I didn't think I'd be sad at the beginning of the season. I thought I'd be really pissed if she won.
I didn't see this coming at all.
But so it could go either way. She could be the one who falls just short, or she could definitely win.
Yeah.
So Carson, I think second best odds of winning. Best odds of winning is
Carolyn.
Yes, and again, same thing. I think she could probably. I think it'll be tight between her and Carson. I don't think it'll be a runaway. But I think you want to take out. I think if I'm her, I line with the girls, use the girls' votes to take out Carson,
Yeah.
and then Jam, fire whoever, whatever we want to do at that point.
Yeah.
I think she beats anybody else left. I maybe even take out Jam next too, just to clear the deck on that.
Right.
But I think
To
Tika
take out your number one that you've been working with the entire game.
Yeah, if Tika goes to the end together, it's very interesting because all three of them have very different stories. Mm-hmm. So similar stories, yet also so different stories.
Yeah.
So if Tika goes to the end together, I'll be very intrigued. Mm-hmm. But I think the fact that they've gone this far together, I think they need to turn each other now.
Yeah, I don't know what everybody's gonna think if they go all to the end. They might just think, oh well, you guys are stupid. It could be another Laurel, Dom and Wendell situation too.
Yeah.
But
it's so hard to say.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the most intriguing though, is if all three go to the end, because it's gonna be like, okay, who's the jury value the most? Who's the jury give the most credit to for all these moves?
Right.
I can see them going either way. But if I'm one of the three of them, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want definitive. I'm the best player. I took out the other two.
Or you look at it the flip side, that they had their alliance and they stuck to their alliance and they never broke their trust with anybody, and they proving that by sticking with their plan.
Right. So yes, maybe you turn the rest of Tika, and then they turn the jury against you because you screwed them. I don't know. It's possible.
It's hard though, because they got to vote for somebody. So.
Well, if you turn on Tika, now it's Heidi, Lauren, and with the one Tika person left.
Yeah.
Then you give it to Heidi or Lauren. I don't know. Maybe because the jury's pissed because you turn on your ally. You turn on your allies. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But I think I'm very interested to see if Tika goes down together. I think it's most exciting if the three Tikas in the final together.
Yeah.
I think it's the most exciting finale.
Yeah.
Final vote and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Most exciting final travel is that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I'm one of those three, I don't want to sit next to the other three. Because I want to have a clear answer. I'm the best. I don't want them to have to decide between the three of us and have it be close.
Right. So. Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Anything else, Jessica, before we wrap up here?
No. Let's. I don't know. I think we're good.
I
go Carolyn. Go team. Woo.
Yeah, I'm probably more team Carson, but I could see I'll be happy with either. I'll be pretty happy with either one. I just want it to be. I want the win. I want the win to be good. I want it to be exciting, and I want the winner to earn it. That's what I want. I don't want there to be all this BS of you're the lesser of the two evils, lesser of the three evils. Just have a good winner win. I don't want freaking Jam there with Lauren and Heidi. Don't give me that.
It's gonna be a situation like Julia. Oh gosh, what was his name? Gavin and
Chris.
Yeah.
That was awful. And this is Chris. I mean, of that, Chris deserved it, but he only played 3 days as Survivor. 9 days as Survivor. So, I said if Jam and the other ones there, I'm probably rooting for Lauren in that case. I guess.
Right.
Even though I don't really want to. So, interesting. We'll see how it turns out. I just want the winner to earn it. I want there to be a good winner and an exciting finale. That's what I'm rooting for. I'm not really rooting for anybody in particular. But,
yeah.
So.
Pretty much. I'm rooting for the end.
Woo! Yeah, Jessica, the end of it, and then Jessica's probably Jessica's last show ever. We might do an off-season show or two, but it's probably Jessica's last Survivor show because I don't think she's gonna want to do the other shit.
I'm not doing an hour and a half. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, be sure to subscribe. If you want to say anything, you can like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Prod on Facebook. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post. Tell your friends. We'll be back in about a week or so. Talk about the finale. Wrap it up. And go from there. Probably be a little more than a week, but we'll see. And then we'll enjoy our summer. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing and sharing the post. Until next time, I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.